Welcome back to another video on my channel. This is part 3 of the SwiperJS for Webflow mini-series on my channel, and today will be all about pagination with SwiperJS. So I'll give you a walkthrough of how to build bullet pagination, how to build a progress bar, and also how to build a fractional pagination display. Let's get started. Alright, so that's our Webflow project setup. It's a CMS-driven SwiperJS slider that we built over the last 2 videos, so feel free to check out the last part of the series if you have not already. And we will build a bullet pagination now. So we want it between these two navigation arrows. So we'll add a div block that will act as a container for our swiper bullets, and we'll just give it the class of swiper pagination, like this. And inside of that, we'll add 2 bullets. So I'll call this swiper bullet. I already have this class, so it's basically just like a square, 0.5 rem on both. That's like 8 pixels. Then 100% border radius and like white 50% as a color. I'll duplicate it. So now we have 2 of them, and one has the isActive combo class, which will in that case just set the background color to another color to indicate that it's the active one. You see that they're stacked on top of each other. We want it to be horizontal. I'll give this a combo class, the swiper pagination of isBullet or isBullets. I'll set it to flex horizontal. You can center align it like this. And you can set the gap here actually as a property to define how much space you want in between. I'll just set it to 0.375. That's a space we want. And then I'll also change this to like center aligned setup like this with the swiper navigation. And now we need to reference this inside of our script that actually builds the swiper instance. So in that case, we have swiper pagination is bullets, so that will be important. We have swiper bullet, and these will be important as we manipulate the script. So here we got the navigation module, we got the keyboard module, and I'll just place it after navigation. So I'll just type in pagination, colon, then opening curly bracket and closing, put a comma behind, and we have the SwiperJS documentation, as always, swiperjs.com, where we are in the docs panel here of swipercore/API. And there you can see the pagination module that allows us to make changes here and to see what properties are available for us to manipulate this. So here we'll have the element, and this will reference the particular pagination element, the container kind of that we'll use. So I'll just say element, then I'll have the CSS selector available here. So now I will put in swiper pagination, and then that's the element itself that we'll use here. We could use a more specific selector, but in that case, we'll just leave it like that because we only have one single instance of this on our page, element swiper pagination. Then we have to define the type. So as the type, I will set bullets. You see that there's different types of pagination. So there's progress bar, bullets, fraction, and custom. And we'll build the first 3 options here in this video. And for now, we'll just go with bullets. And then after we set it to bullets, we'll set the bullet class to say what class the bullet should have. So you can see it here. We got like the bullet class, we got bullet element, and all of these, we'll get to them. Bullet class, we'll set this to swiper bullet. Don't need a dot here because it's expecting a class already here. But here, for example, in the CSS selector, you'll need like a bullet in front to indicate that it's actually a CSS selector. Or that in that case that you're selecting a class, because there's all sorts of CSS selectors, obviously. Then we set the bullet class, but we also need a bullet active class, right? Because we want to show which bullet is actually active. So we'll have bullet active class here, and this will have the is active combo class applied. So is active, bullet active class. Now I will also recommend to set the bullet element to button. That's how I usually do it. So I'll just type in button. That's the HTML tag that these swiper pagination bullets will have. Now you can set it to clickable. I always do that because then people can click the pagination bullets and slide to the slide of that is linked to the specific bullet that was clicked. So you can just set it to true. Just like this, nothing around it, because it's like just a Boolean value and JavaScript will recognize it like that. And that should be good. Let's just check out what we have here. Bullet active class, we got all of these covered. And we got the element set. We got the type set to bullets, or let me just double check that. Yeah, type is bullets. So now let's look at how this will actually work on our published site. We will have some issues with it because of the styling of how the SwiperJS default styles interact with that. So we'll just give it a refresh here. And you can see that the bullets are here in the bottom left, or like you cannot see it actually because my cam is in front of it. But let's, they are like in the bottom left corner. So I'll just select them and you can see, I'll just move my face around. So now you can actually see them. You can see that they are like in the bottom left corner. And the reason for that is the default swiper styles. So as we look at the CSS in the inspector, we can know why this is happening and adjust accordingly. So we have swiper pagination here. And you can see that it is set to, it has like a bottom value set here for position absolute, which is also set here on swiper pagination itself. So if we were to remove that, it would be already a lot better. So let's just say we would remove position absolute, and we would also remove the bottom, which is by default removed if it's not position absolute anymore. Let's maybe instead set it to position relative for now. And now we got this. We got the top here, left. Doesn't make any changes, but the reason why it looks weird right now is because the width is 100%. So if we were to deactivate that style of width 100%, then it would look nice again here. So let's maybe just go ahead into Webflow and make these updates. So first of all, you want to set it on the combo class here, swiper pagination is bullets here. We want to set it to relative instead of absolute, and I'll just set all of this to auto. And now I will also set the width to auto instead of 100%, so that it's not too huge. And then also I will set a flex setting on the swiper arrow, like the swiper arrows here, so that they don't get like shrink down in any circumstances. And now let's give it another check. My face was in the way again a little bit, but now I can move it back to the left side because the bullets will be up here. But what we can see is that the width is still set to 100%. So the width auto didn't quite work. And also we have the bottom, the bottom variable that comes from the default styles. So maybe let's just give this some updates. We'll set it instead. We'll set the bottom value with important. So bottom will be auto, and then important to override all of these styles that come with it. We'll just also do the same for top, auto, important, and we'll also set the width to auto, important. And now we'll just publish it again and have another look at it if it works better now. And we'll give it a refresh, and you can see it works exactly how we wanted it to work. It's also dynamic like this, like you see the active pagination bullet here. Now the thing is, you might ask, why is there only 3 bullets here as of now? Well, I can give you an answer to this. That's because we have 3 slides active per view. So basically we just have 3 views in that case. We have the first view, we give it a click. We have the second view, we give it another click, and we get the third view. And then it will just rewind back to the first one. Meanwhile, on mobile, let's say, where we actually have just 1 slide per view, it will have 5 bullets and adjust accordingly. But what if we wanted to, for example, just show the swiper bullets on desktop and not on mobile? Or actually the reverse. Maybe we wanted to show just on mobile, but not on desktop. So what I would advise you to do here is there is like an option in the swiper docs here for this particular behavior, which is just called enabled. It has like a description here, a Boolean property to use with breakpoints to enable, disable pagination on certain breakpoints. So we will just say, because this is the default breakpoint, which is the mobile one, we will say enabled true. And then we will need another pagination module inside of a breakpoint, like let's say starting from mobile landscape, for example, we can hide it. We can say enabled false, starting from here. Don't forget the comma at the end. But we need to put this actually inside of the pagination object, because otherwise it will just enable or disable the whole swiper, which is not what we want. We just want to manipulate if the pagination is actually working or not. So now let's give this another publish and refresh. Let's see. And now you see it's enabled on mobile, but as we scale the viewport up, the pagination disappears. So that's how you can manipulate it responsively to be activated or not activated. Next up, we got the progress bar that fills as we slide. Let's build this instead of the swiper pagination setup that we have in the project right now. I'll delete the swiper bullets and I'll move this out here. I'll move it out here. So we have the swiper pagination next to the swiper arrows, and I'll give it, instead of a class of isBullet, I will call it swiper pagination progress bar, like this. And inside of that, you want to place something else, which is the filled progress bar. So we'll call this swiper pagination progress bar fill. So this will be the fill. And I think that I might have some styles in here that needs to be removed. Yeah, remove these. Cool. So now we have the swiper progress bar fill, swiper pagination here, and we need to update the script again, because as we look in the swiper documentation, even in the same pagination module, we have like different properties that are responsible for the progress bar than for the pagination bullets. So we'll have a progress bar fill disabled. We have like all of these, and also we need to set it to progress bar in the type. So now I will go with type progress bar. Bullet class and all of these can be removed. And also I'll remove that enabled thing here. So I'll also remove it from here. Enabled, move that. Remove all of the other things here, but we'll keep the element here. In that case, like swiper pagination, that still works for us for now. Type progress bar. And let's take a look at how this would look out of the box here before adjusting any of the styles in our project. Give it a refresh. So it's not like really where we want it to be. Maybe you saw it. It's on the top, at the top of the screen. It's that blue progress bar here. And as I slide, you can see that the progress bar is already updating, but it still needs to be refined because we want it to have it in our own style. So we'll look at the elements again. I'll scale this up. And as I select this particular element, Swiper pagination progress bar here, you can see that from Swiper bundle, it has like the default styles again. So the width is 100%, that works, I guess, but like, for example, the height is set to this variable from Swiper CSS, which gives it that 4 pixel height. Then left and top is 0, and also its position is absolute. Then we got the background and all of that. So we need to make a lot of adjustments here. We got like the Swiper pagination progress bar inside. We'll get to all of that. So here, Swiper pagination, we'll set it to relative instead of absolute as the position. Then we also, we don't want the left and top settings like that, but let's just take a look at it inside of this and actually see how many of these styles we can actually override and how many will just come out of the box. So here we got this, and then if we wanted to update the color, I can already tell you that some of it works and some of it doesn't. Let's update the color of the progress bar here. So we can just set it, for example, to, let's say, a light gray color, or let's say even like white 5% as the back, as this will be the background, and then the fill will be the actual bar that filled up. Let's also try to set it here to, let's say, bright cyan as a fill. Then we can try to set the height here to, let's say, 2 pixel instead of 4 pixel. And we might want to center that whole thing here. This is like still too large here. We'll set this to absolute here and give this a height of 100% instead. And like in the designer here, I think, yeah, maybe let's just go with this setting here. With 100% works. Let's have a look at how it actually looks in our published staging environment. So you can see that the background color of the progress of the full bar, it changed to now this like white 10% or something like that. And then we got the progress bar, but its color didn't get updated how we wanted it, because you can see that the background color is just being overridden by this background CSS property here. And also you can see that the height is still at 4 pixels. So we also want to adjust that. So we'll, again, there's different approaches to this. For one, we could, for example, just use like the exact classes here, like Swiper pagination, progress bar, Swiper pagination, horizontal, and all of that. But we can also make use of the Swiper, of like the, not the Swiper, of CSS important properties. So like to just mark it as important, and it will just override what Swiper is like laying on top of this whole thing. So in that case, I'll set it to height 2 pixel and type important at the end. So that's for the height here. That was like a problem that we faced. And then the progress bar fill. So now I will set the background color. And for example, I'll just set it to green for now to show you how it works. Green, important. And now let's check it out again, see if it works. Cool. Give it a refresh. And now you can see that it actually looks exactly how we styled it. So now you can see here, it updates as we want it to, and as we scale down, also works on mobile devices. That's it for the Swiper progress bar. I will show you the code once again here. It's pretty simple, right? We just have the element and then the type set to progress bar. And now for the last pagination type that we'll cover here, we'll have the fraction pagination. And this one we will place again in between the actual navigation arrows here. I'll just go ahead and delete this. And now I'll just place a text block here in between. So I'll just type like 1 out of 2 here, just like as a placeholder, because it will be dynamic anyways later. And I'll give it a class of just pagination, for example. It doesn't really matter that much. And now we'll go into our script again that will set how the swiper works that we have, and we'll change it again, referencing the documentation, to fraction instead of progress bar here. So we'll just set it to fraction, and the element will just reference the particular element that we created, and in that case the CSS selector of the class .pagination. Let's take a look at it, how it looks by default, and we'll still make some adjustments to how this whole thing looks. Let's give it a refresh. So first of all, you can see it here. It's again like set to width 100%, so that's like not ideal for us. And then you can see basically it's like a div block here that it created. And inside of the div block, we have like the span, the first element, which has the class of SwiperPagination current. And then we have another span with SwiperPagination total. Then we have like that slash in between. So now let's make some adjustments to this. First of all, we need to get rid of the width 100%, and then we can like make some general style adjustments to the whole thing. We can also extend the classes that we're using. For example, we could also just use the approach of like actually setting all these classes. So I'll just like add it to pagination here. I'll just add the classes that we want, that we like need to match what we have in the inspector. So in that case, we would have this class, and then we would have the last class of SwiperPagination horizontal. So we have this combo class set up here, and now all the changes that we make here will then also be reflected here because we're matching the selector exactly. We don't even need to use important here in most situations. So always depends on the context. But like now, for example, let's just set the width to auto. So you can see that now as we look at the selector here, actually we're now overriding what we had here. The width is crossed out, and now we have like width auto. So that's good. And now if we want to style the specific classes that are inside here, SwiperPagination current and SwiperPagination total, what I would recommend you to do is just write some CSS in Webflow. So I can just go ahead and like add an embed here. Now opening style, closing style, select the class here, then we have SwiperPagination current, and maybe we want to give this like another color. So I'll just copy, they gave this a change, bright sign. Never mind, I'll just copy this here, the actual hex code. Now I'll set the color to this, semicolon here. That will do it for the current one, so that the current one will have another color, but like on the published side, hide this whole thing so that we don't have weird spacing. And we can also give this like some adjustments. For example, with the total weight, we can, for example, make it bold. Refresh. And you can see now that the current pagination fraction has the color that we set in our CSS. And the whole thing here will update as we slide through. So again, the same situation, because we have 3 per view, it will like might look off to you here, but like it works generally. And that's it for the fractions. I hope that this was helpful for you. I hope that you were able to understand everything that we covered in this video. I will create more content about SwiperJS. Feel free to like this video if you think that it was helpful, or leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.